Joining me now for more on the APEC Forum is Scott Bates. He is the president of the Center for National Policy here in Washington, a think tank dedicated to advancing the economic and national security of the United States. I want to welcome you to the broadcast. President making kind of a stunning statement saying, I should have been there, kind of apologetic in a sense. How much does this damage the United States and the president himself?
Well, I think the president was just being very truthful about a very bad situation. There's no doubt that this shutdown is undermining American credibility with our allies and with our competitors, looking at us as a weak or declining power. That's been the narrative in the Pacific, that the U.S. is distracted at home, it's distracted by events in the Middle East, and that the pivot to the Pacific that was much heralded about 3 years ago is hollow rhetoric. And unfortunately, this is the third time now that the President of the United States has missed very important meetings in Asia because of domestic difficulties here at home.
We asked the question going into the broadcast, how much damage control is needed and how do you go about it if you're the President of the United States?
Well, I think at the end of the day, he has to produce results here in Washington. And that's tough with the Congress that we have right now, but that's what the world is going to be looking at. Can there be a deal, and can it be more than a Band-Aid? Because if it isn't, then this, combined with what happened in the Syria situation, that the president was likely going to lose a congressional vote on the use of force there, you put those two things together, and it looks like an America that, as the president said, really can't get its act together. So what's happening in Washington is having reverberations across the Pacific.
You talked a little bit about the Pacific pivot that the president heralded. And today, Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin, talking about working together to guarantee security and stability in the Asia-Pacific region, kind of taking that headline away from President Obama. Talk to me about the significance of this meeting and their statement.
Well, the Russian-Chinese relationship has been deepening for a long time. They have a lot of common interests, and this is another expression of it. And unfortunately, U.S. policy, the pivot to the Pacific, is just really focusing on the military. So Chuck Hagel was in Japan, announced that we're going to have some global Hawk drones in Japan, and that's the only story that comes out. And if you look at the federal shutdown, the U.S. military now are back on the job, but not the State Department, not the trade negotiators that need to land the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal.
You talk about advancing the economic landscape here for the United States. How much of a hit is there? Because these meetings are really rather critical in establishing those relationships. Obviously, the road is paved with the lesser minions working out these deals, but it's good to have the face-to-face with the leaders. How much does this hurt the United States from an economic standpoint?
Yeah, I think it hurts a lot because the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a big trade deal across the Pacific between the U.S. and our Asian allies, really a way to set a rules-based economy in the Pacific, is not going to happen this year. That's the goal of the White House, is to nail it down this year. But I'm willing to say that the president needed to be there to push the process along with countries that were kind of dragging their feet, like Malaysia, encourage the Japanese to move forward. And end of the day, it's leaders that make their bureaucracies move, and that's where these deals get done.
And everybody wants to cut a deal with another government. So now you've got other major countries, they're actually working deals that you could have been a part of.
Those deals may have already happened. Look, John Kerry was doing his best to fill in, but again, when they took that big photo, the American place was empty. There's no substitute for the President of the United States at the end of the day.
Scott Bates, thanks so much for coming in and joining us and talking to us about this very important issue.